Origin System. Excerpt 4. Loki. Within the history of the Origin System, few Warframes command as much intrigue and mystique as Loki, the Orokin's master of deception, an enigma carved from shadows and whispers. This is the story of a Warframe born not for brute force, but for the subtle art of manipulation, a tale drenched in cunning and treachery. Crafted during the zenith of the Orokin Golden Age, Loki was more than a weapon. He was the embodiment of illusion. The Orokin designed him to be a phantom, a specter on the battlefield, his mere presence enough to twist reality itself. He didn't confront enemies head-on. He dismantled them from within, turning their own strength into their downfall. With every step, he bent the fabric of perception, cloaking himself in invisibility, leaving only confusion and chaos in his wake. Loki was unique among the Warframes, a singular trickster in a pantheon of warriors. His was a role of unparalleled significance in Orokin campaigns, where deception often triumphed over sheer might. The enemies of the Orokin learned to fear not the sword or the gun, but the mind's betrayal. Entire battalions fell not by force but by their own hand, manipulated into madness by the unseen hand of Loki. Yet within this mastery of deception lay the seeds of the Orokin's undoing. The Tenno, the children of the Void, wielded these Warframes not merely as tools of war, but as instruments of rebellion. The Orokin in their arrogance failed to foresee the rise of their creations. The betrayal was swift, and in the shadows, Loki's role became pivotal. During the Tenno rebellion, Loki was the harbinger of chaos. His illusions confounded the Orokin elite, turning their own security measures against them. Vaults that were deemed impenetrable opened to his trickery. Generals were led into traps of their own making. The fall of the Orokin was a symphony of deception, orchestrated by Loki's unseen hand. The climax of this dark chapter came on the day of the Orokin's fall, in the hollowed halls of the Golden Towers, where the Seven reigned supreme. Loki wove his greatest illusion. With each step, he dismantled their defenses, turning their gilded sanctuary into a labyrinth of fear. The Orokin, masters of the known universe, found themselves powerless against a foe they couldn't see, a foe they couldn't comprehend. As the final blow fell, Loki stood amidst the ruins of their empire, a silent witness to the birth of a new era. His legacy, one of cunning, served as a stark reminder of the thin line between illusion and reality. And now, in the shadowed corners of the Origin System, Loki remains a ghost of the past, a specter of rebellion. He is a symbol of the Tenno's victory and the Orokin's hubris. In his silent watch, he continues his eternal dance of shadows, a dark whisper in the records of history, forever reminding us that the greatest victories are won not by force, but by the unseen hand of deception. In the void, reality is a lie, and Loki is its master. This is his legacy, the master of manipulation. Loki, the unseen shadow.
Oh hey dreamers, fancy meeting you here. We have an extremely unique and vastly overpowered Loki build that was originally created by my great friend and clan member HairlessPersian. We had been trying to create a groundbreaking setup for our little trickster buddy for a bit, and in a moment of clarity and genius, he set this up, and let me tell you, when I tried it out, I just knew it was the one. This will be a deep dive into Warframe's most enigmatic trickster. In today's episode of Chronicles of the Origin System, we'll explore a detailed high-level build that turns Loki into a master of manipulation and absolute fucking destruction. This build leverages stealth, power strength stacking, and strategic use of status effects via Damage Decoy and the Mecha Set to dominate endgame content. In this video, we'll break down what we are looking at in terms of abilities, mod and weapon setups, and ultimately how we are able to take what the community deems a C-tier Warframe, what a crock of shit, and showcase how Loki absolutely devastates level cap missions with utter ease and efficiency. The first part of understanding Loki is stay hidden, stay alive. The cornerstone of this build is invisibility. This isn't just a utility, it's your lifeline. Keeping invisibility active ensures not only staying alive, but allows for the constant triggering of Arcane Crepuscular, which grants plus 3x critical damage multiplier and a plus 30% power strength bonus. These buffs are crucial for scaling both your damage and utility abilities. But why does invisibility matter? Loki's inherently fragile. Come on, physically he's a little bitch. Like that kid you know at school who always has his inhaler but just insists on trying to do 30 pull-ups because he's just as strong as your rhino buddy? What a fucking loser. So remaining invisible is your primary defense. Being unseen allows you to manipulate the battlefield without drawing enemy aggression. Forgetting to stay invisible? You might as well prepare to get your O-ring blasted out. This is no joke. Invisibility is non-negotiable. And with our 4 Tau Forged Red Archon shards in place, we boast a 25.8 second duration to our ability, allowing us to consistently remain within the shadows and easily maintain our energy to recast. So how do we set the bait? The power of Damage Decoy. With invisibility in place, the next step is to set the trap using Damage Decoy. This ability creates a holographic clone that draws enemy fire, but here it's used for more than distraction. It's key to stacking massive status effects, augmenting our Mecha Set, and activating Arcane Impetus. So how do we use Damage Decoy effectively? With Damage Decoy, we are able to proc 13 separate status effects including IPS and elements. This is also moddable by strength, duration, and range. The strength modifies damage reflection, as well as health and shields of the target. It is notable that the shields and health are pulled from surrounding enemies, which is moddable by range, and the duration affects how long the enemy will be affected by decoy. The status reflected is static, and will always affect the target applying the damage to the decoy. So, step 1, target selection. Cast Damage Decoy on a nearby enemy, preferably one surrounded by a cluster of foes. Step 2, enemy reaction. As enemies attack the decoy, you'll notice Arcane Impetus begin to stack. This buff increases your power strength incrementally with each attack on the decoy. Step 3, stacking to 13. Once the buff reaches 13 stacks, we have attained our sweet spot where your power strength will be fully optimized. Step 4, status and damage reflected. Once we have stacked all of our arcanes and abilities, our Damage Decoy reaches a staggering 882% damage reflected, with 5 separate status procs reflected per damage dealt. Now paired with our Kubrow's Contagious Bond and our Mecha Set, this guarantees an unholy status fuckfest for all nearby parties involved. Talk about a struggle snuggle. Safeguard Switch, the ultimate defense mechanism. Safeguard Switch is an augment mod for Loki's Switch Teleport, transforming this ability into a crucial defensive tool for both you and your allies. And here's how it fits seamlessly into the build. When you cast Switch Teleport on an ally, it grants them invulnerability for a brief period. This provides a window of safety, allowing them to reposition, heal, or escape dangerous situations without taking damage. So we use Safeguard Switch to protect critical teammates, such as support frames or those carrying objectives. Now Safeguard Switch is one of the only abilities in the game that crowd control and affect disruption targets by displacing them at different locations on the battlefield. When that disruption target gets too close to the conduit, Loki can swoop in like the dark savior he is to teleport the Demolisher up to 100 meters away from the conduit. This makes it a great tool for quickly swapping positions with enemies, a vulnerable ally, or placing you in stealth and them in safety. So how is the synergy with the build? While maintaining your own invisibility, Safeguard Switch allows you to add another layer of survivability in the form of invulnerability, effectively giving you God mode. On this build, our Safeguard allows us 12.8 seconds of arrogant dick swinging while we laugh in the face of our enemies. Combined with Decoy and Ophanim Eyes, you can control the battlefield, protect your team, and ensure your enemies are left confused and vulnerable. Now onto our Power Strength Mastery, the math of Devestation. Now that your Arcane Impetus is fully stacked, let's crunch the numbers for all you geeks who haven't been laid in 78 years. That's me. I'm geek. Here's how your power strength is calculated. Base modded strength is 144% from your mods. Arcane Crepuscular bonus is plus 30%, and your Arcane Impetus bonus is plus 78%, 13 stacks of 6% each. So your total power strength is going to equal 252%. This level of power strength is critical for the effectiveness of your abilities, especially Ophanim Eyes and Damage Decoy, and is absolutely necessary when dealing with level 9,999 disruption targets. So now let's move on to Ophanim Eyes, the armor-stripping powerhouse. With your power strength locked at 252%, it's time to deploy Ophanim Eyes. This ability is crucial for stripping enemy armor and maintaining your Arcane Impetus stacks. Activate Ophanim Eyes, and with your power strength at its peak, it will now perform a 4-second armor strip on all enemies within its radius. Ophanim continuously refreshes your Arcane Impetus stacks as long as you keep enemies in your line of sight. This ensures your power strength remains maxed out throughout the mission. Now why is this important? The armor strip significantly reduces enemy durability, allowing you and your team to deal massive damage. The continuous refresh of Arcane Impetus keeps your abilities at peak efficiency, not to mention the drastic slow CC that comes with using this ability. All in all, it's an absolute top tier ability, so always remember to recast. Now we move on to Recasting Decoy, unleashing chaos with the Mecha Set. With Ophanim Eyes active and Power Strength optimized, it's time to focus on maximizing the utility of Damage Decoy and the Mecha Set for widespread destruction. Your Kubrow will periodically mark enemies with the Mecha Set bonus. When a marked target attacks the decoy, they become vulnerable to massive status proc accumulation. You can equate this to the guy at the all-you-can-eat sushi restaurant who just will not stop eating but never gains a pound. That fucking serial killer. Upon the marked target's death, a 30-meter radius explosion spreads status effects to nearby enemies, resulting in a chain reaction of devastation. When facing groups of enemies, simply recast Damage Decoy on a high-threat target. As enemies attack the decoy, they'll inadvertently trigger the Mecha Set. At this point, all that needs to happen is your Kubrow lands at least one single status to activate Contagious Bond. This will lead to widespread status effects that decimate the battlefield, similar to the last fish market pandemic. Now on to dealing with disruption targets. Immobilization and Destruction. Demolishers and Demolysts, typically immune to crowd control, can be a huge challenge. However, with this build, even those formidable bastards can be neutralized with ease. Cast Damage Decoy on the Demolyst. Unlike other enemies, the disruption target will be locked in place by the decoy. I cannot stress this enough. This is one of the only abilities that cannot be nullified. Your Kubrow's marking ability ensures the Demolisher becomes a walking bomb, taking plus 150% multiplicative damage. Now use a weapon like the Boar Prime with Heat Inherit to stack thousands of status procs. The Demolyst won't stand a fucking chance, succumbing to overwhelming damage that spills over to nearby enemies. So now, we move on to weapon synergy. The Boar Prime and Kuva Nukor, the engines of destruction. To fully capitalize on Loki's build, we'll dive into the weapon choices that amplify this strategy to devastating levels. The Boar Prime and the Kuva Nukor. These weapons synergize perfectly with the build's focus on status effects and outright unholy damage output. So let's break down how each weapon fits into this build and the unique mechanics they employ. The Boar Prime, a viral heat devastation set with the Arcane Primary Crux. The Boar Prime is an exceptional choice for applying massive amounts of viral and heat procs. Thanks to its high status chance and fast fire rate, paired with Arcane Primary Crux, this weapon becomes a powerhouse for absurd status chance and scaling damage. Viral increases damage taken by enemies by up to 325% with 10 stacks, synergizing perfectly with Ophanim Eyes' armor-stripping abilities. Heat provides massive death-dealing capabilities by inflicting a damage over time effect while stripping armor further. Once enough heat procs are placed upon an enemy, it's only a matter of time until they explode like the next great jihad. Primary Crux boosts your primary weapon ammo efficiency by 60% and status chance by up to 300%, significantly increasing the amount of status procs the weapon is capable of outputting. With Heat Inherit, every heat proc applied builds on itself, increasing damage output exponentially. This ensures each shot from the Boar Prime scales with devastating efficiency, turning hordes of enemies into ash. Now once an enemy is decoyed and marked via mecha, charge in and fucking barrage the target with an overload of viral and heat procs. The rapid fire nature of the gun ensures multiple procs stack quickly, amplifying the Mecha Set contagion effect on death and spreading destruction across the battlefield. Now on to the Kuva Nukor. The Kuva Nukor is your secondary weapon of choice, renowned for its ability to chain status procs and wreak havoc on clustered enemies. We will be applying 5 separate status effects alone with this gun, and when paired with the Arcane Secondary Enervate, it unlocks its full potential, achieving massive red crits that melt even the toughest foes. The Kuva Nukor has an innate chaining effect that allows it to hit multiple enemies at once, applying status procs across a group. This makes it perfect for spreading viral, magnetic, radiation, heat, and the unique and specialized microwave status. The Heat Inherit mechanic paired with microwave further amplifies this, as every heat proc enhances the next, and microwave status, which is unique to the Nukor, enlarges enemy body parts, which ensures that each shot increases in lethality. Secondary Enervate adds a static 10% critical chance per hit of your secondary weapon until hitting 6 consistent big crits, making the Kuva Nukor a red crit machine. The Nukor will consistently hit for massive crits, spreading procs that synergize with the Mecha Set and further escalating the chaos on the battlefield. And with the highest critical multiplier in the game, you can be damn sure that it will output the necessary damage to fucking teep kick its way through even the tankiest of mobs in seconds. Use the Kuva Nukor for high priority targets and clustered enemies. Its chaining effect and status application make it perfect for melting down groups, while Secondary Enervate ensures critical hits are frequent and devastating, allowing you to also focus on high-level disruption targets. Let's talk about our weapon synergy and heat inherit. What a deadly combination. The heat inherit mechanic is crucial for both the Boar Prime and the Kuva Nukor in this build. By maintaining heat procs, you'll continuously boost the damage output of both weapons, creating a feedback loop of escalating destruction. So how does heat inherit work? Each heat proc increases the damage of subsequent heat procs, leading to exponential damage scaling. Both the Boar Prime and Kuva Nukor leverage this mechanic, ensuring that as long as you keep applying heat, your damage will continue to climb. Synergy in action for the disruption targets. We start with the Kuva Nukor to apply initial procs and weaken enemies as well as enlarging their body parts via microwave. Then we switch to the Boar Prime to quickly stack thousands of heat procs. This combination ensures you maintain a constant barrage of status effects and critical damage, overwhelming even the most resilient foes. With that said, there are a ton of weapons that you can also use with this build, such as the Kuva Comb, the Dual Toxicist, the Furus, the Sampatizer Harmony paired with Melee Afflictions, and any other high status weapon paired with either Primary Crux, Secondary Enervate, Fortifier for Overguard, or Melee Afflictions. The possibilities are seemingly endless. Now, what are our final thoughts on the ultimate Trickster? This build turns Loki into a master of the battlefield, unseen, untouchable, and utterly devastating. From manipulating enemy behavior to unleashing cataclysmic status effects, Loki can easily become the ultimate puppet master. His abilities don't just confuse, they destroy. By harnessing the power of invisibility, deception, and mass destruction, you can guarantee that you will dominate the origin system like your first prom date. With this build, Loki isn't just a Warframe, he's a force of nature. And that wraps up another deep dive into the shadowy depths of the origin system. Whether you're weaving through enemies with Loki's elusive tricks or unraveling the mysteries of Warframelore, the journey is always worth it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date on epic builds and dark tales from the Warframe universe. This has been another episode of Chronicles of the Origin System. I'm the Demon Prince, and as always, I'll see you in the Void, Dreamers.